Good morning. It is Sunday, and we know what that means. It's the Lord's Day. And I hope everybody is having a great week so far. And I know that this is a celebration this weekend in this country. You know, it's July the 4th. I know there's a lot of fireworks and stuff like that, but I just want to say everybody be safe out there this weekend, and hopefully you've been okay thus far. That being said, you know, a lot of times we don't want to get told where we're wrong, and then we don't want to acknowledge it, and that's something that I'm sure all of us have had to deal with at some point in time. But now this morning we're going to talk about the 51st division of Psalms, and it may be common to you, it may be familiar, and some it may not. And let me just give you a little background on the 51st division of Psalms. When Nathan the prophet had went to King David and told him, hey, you are the man. You know, he had committed adultery with Bathsheba. You know, now this is a situation where David is pleading for mercy from God. But we're not going to go all the way through the 51st Psalm. We're just going to go through a few verses from the beginning. And we're gonna stop at a key point that all of us have to come to the realization of. You know, sometimes, you know, we tend to want to point the finger and blame others, but sometimes we've got to say, I am that man, I am that woman that's in the wrong here. You got to be able to admit when you're wrong, and I'm sure there are times I know that I've been guilty of saying, no, I'm not wrong, but really I was wrong, and I'm sure other people have too. So that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into this, and we're going to see what God has to tell us from the 51st division of Psalms. Let's get started. Okay. It says, verse 1, have mercy upon me, O God, according to thy loving kindness, according unto the multitude of thy tender mercies, blot out my transgressions. Okay, let's stop right here. Now, we know that we all have committed sin. Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. There's no person walking on planet Earth that is committed to sin, regardless of how they act like if they act like they haven't, you already know that's an untrue statement. That's opposite of the truth, which would make that a lie. So that being said, you know, his tender mercies. He doesn't just have one type of mercy. He doesn't just have one mercy he can give. It's a multitude of his tender mercies. So that being said, no matter what you've done, you know, God can show you mercy. He is long suffering, which means he is patient towards us, giving us chance after chance to get it right. That's why on Judgment Day, there's not going to be any excuse, because you had all this time to get it right. He's very loving, he's very tender, he's very, very merciful and forgiving. Let's go a little further. Verse 2, wash me thoroughly from my iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. Verse 3, here's the key point here. Verse 3, for I acknowledge my transgression, and my sin is ever before me. Yes, you know, you've heard the old statement, in order to solve a problem or to fix a problem, you got to first admit that there's a problem. Well, when Nathan came to David, he simply told him, hey, you are that man. Even though he told him a story that illustrated a point about the man that had just one little ewe lamb. Well, David recognized that was wrong for somebody to come and take that one ewe lamb from someone, even though the guy that he was talking about in the story had plenty of them, which was actually David he was talking about, because David had multiple wives. He had plenty of wives, but he wanted Uriah the Hittite's only wife. See the difference? He had plenty, but yet he took from a guy that only had one. Now that being said, when Nathan asked David, you know, what should be done to that man? He said, well, surely he shall die. Well, David knew what the right thing to do was, as far as administering punishment to the person in this example. But at the same time, he was the one, in all honesty, that had taken the ewe lamb. So that being said, He was the man. And that's what Nathan told him. Also, you can't be afraid to tell somebody the truth. You can't be afraid to say, hey, you are the one. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter their stature. You've got to be able to stand flat-footed and just simply speak the truth. And now I know there may be some consequences that come behind it, but which are you more concerned with? Are you more concerned with that person becoming better, or do you want to keep enabling their behavior? I mean, it's that simple. Are you really doing a justice to somebody that you're not telling? If you see them doing wrong, are you really doing them justice? No, you're not. You're just contributing to creating a quote unquote monster in that sense. So that being the case, when David was told his transgression, and like so many of us, we have got to say, hey, I acknowledge that. I've got to acknowledge that. I've got to own it, per se. I've got to say, hey, look, this was me. This is all on me. Okay, this is my fault. Okay? That is a hard thing to do. A lot of times that is a hard thing to do. But we all have to do it. There's not a single person that's exempt. And there's not a single person that does everything right. There's not. You're going to make mistakes. I've made mistakes. So that being said, when we are confronted with it, we've got to evaluate. Hey, did I really do this? If I'm the one at fault, I need to say, I acknowledge my transgressions, and then you ask for forgiveness, mercy, what have you. That being said, going forward from this day, don't be afraid to acknowledge where you're wrong. Don't be afraid to not acknowledge that. Because once you've admitted that you're wrong about something, we can get some healing. We can do some healing. And once we get to that point, we can go on down to verse number 10. And we can say, create in me, O God, a new heart. That's the thing we've got to get to. But first, we've got to acknowledge whatever it is that we're doing wrong. We've got to acknowledge that. We've got to acknowledge that. And then let God create in us a new heart. And once that happens, we're going to grow. We're going to bear fruit. All those things. So this week, we've got to work on letting God create in us a new heart, a new mind. And we can only do that by studying His Word, knowing what His Word is, what His Word tells us, and following it. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope everybody has a great week going forward. Be safe this week, and I'll see you hopefully on Tune Up Tuesday, if it be the Lord's will. Talk to you later.